Okay, there we go. Camera is live and we are going. Alrighty. Man, if I were to go outside today right now, the smell of the ocean is very strong. It's like as if I walked straight onto the beach. Gotta love it. I might also be a little bit stuffy right now because of allergies, but it is what it is. So, without further ado, let's kind of get started here. Yeah. So, hello everybody. Welcome back to some Playdate shenanigans, where we port a game of mine over to the Playdate. Last week, we managed to finish up doing things with alerts and adding a press A to restart, which is great. So today I kind of want to keep going off that train. So let's switch into easel mode real quick. So I kind of want to jump off that train and at least take care of some of these quality of life improvements, such as the D-pad one. Main reason being that I do want to make it a little bit easier when testing, because there's actually some very fun things that I can show you today. So prior to today, all the builds that we had to do... Okay, I don't care, file watcher. Prior to all the builds, or prior to today, all the builds that we had been doing, we're doing it on device, and we had to play shenanigans between the simulator and mirror, and doing this and that, and this and that. But, today, that changes. So all I have to do is just hit run local build, and boom. We are back in simulator land. No shenanigans, just regular simulator. The caveat here, I guess, is that this is actually the Linux version of the simulator that's running through WSL. So obviously that means I have a couple more dependencies that are installed, so I guess now my Linux install is around like 10 gigs instead of like the 9 that it was, but that's not the point. Point is, we can actually play the game inside of here. So I don't need to keep plugging in my device and keep doing shenanigans just to get it to run, which is great. Turns out that the linker flags in question that were causing the simulator build to just not work, turns out I actually don't need them. Because the device version certainly doesn't use them. It was only the simulator version that used them, and I'm guessing it was probably for like debugging purposes. But since we're doing debugging a little bit differently here, just because of the way we have set things up, it doesn't really matter to us. So we can just play the game as it is, and we can use all of the glorious simulator features, such as turning on sprite collisions, so we can actually see what we're doing. Now, the only thing that doesn't work is the device pass-through, and that's because like I need to figure out how to configure device pass-through to work with WSL. So like if I were to plug in my Playdate, like it would see the Playdate there, because right now it's only visible in Windows and not via Linux. But this is fine, right? I only did all this just to get the simulator version running. To get the device version running, it's just as simple as just doing make device, and then it just makes for the device, and then we're all good to go. So, yeah. And that being said, because I can't plug the Playdate in, trying to use the circle thing for the crank is not very fun. So I want to add in the D-pad accessibility to allow that to make it easier to test in the simulator. Give me 1 second here. Waiting for the camera. Camera's back. Okay. Sorry about that. Kitty shenanigans. Where were we? Ah, yes. So I want to add the D-pad stuff before we do anything else, because testing with that little crank mechanism is just a pain in the butt. So let's go ahead and do that today. Or at least try. There we go. Let's make the text a little bigger here. So where are we looking today? So I imagine we're going to want to do something here. Now, because we already have code to... Not game loop. It's the name of the game. There we go. Because we already have this code to check if the crank is docked, I think we can do something here. Right, because we just need to make sure that when we do this, that it corresponds to either the +1 or -1. Because it needs to correspond to a crank angle. So we may have to do some extra math on that. Yeah. So what we can do then is let's get the current pressed buttons. Because I think this should be the same as before, right? Yes. It is Playdate dot... What is it? System... Yes. System button state. Okay. And we're just now going to check if released dot contains... We have A, B, down, so it should just be left, right? Yeah. Game data dot player move to movement translate. We may need to do some extra work here. Game data player position, otherwise 0, with crank rotation. I imagine, right, because right now we have this set so that way the player's X position is essentially the crank angle. Player.position.x 0. So we just take that and then +1. I feel like this is a little cheap, but we're doing what we can. Missing argument for... Yeah, I'm about to supply the bounds. Silly. Game data. Screen. Bounds. LSP is getting a little too excited. Oh, you know what? This should be -1. And I believe movement.translate already contains code to... Yes, we already contain code to clamp. So that is not an issue. Okay. So let's run, and hopefully pressing the left D-pad button should move us to the left. Yeah. Okay. We probably don't want that. So let me check. Current pushed. So we probably want current instead. Because we want it to actively be pressed, not when the button's released. Yeah, that makes more sense. Okay. else if current dot contains right, we just take this same code yeah, I know. Don't repeat yourself. But just for the sake of this, we're going to repeat ourselves. While I'm waiting for that, I'm just going to make that in progress. We're moving up. I feel like it's moving a little bit slower compared to the crank. So we may need to adjust the deltas here. Let's say maybe 4? See how that fares. Okay, that was weird. Okay, yeah, that's a bit more like it. Can I use the A and D keys or? Oh, I can use left and right though. Yeah, that works. Cool. See, even when the crank is docked, we are doing A-okay there. Cool. Yep. That did exactly what we wanted. Yeah, I suppose we could probably move this part out, right? Yeah. So let's do that, I guess. Our movement delta, I think with crank rotation is a float, right? Yeah. Float is 0. Now, if Playdate system is crank docked, actually, let's set it to an impossible position, -1. Then we say movement delta is, well, wait a minute. I think. No, because we would need to switch on something, right? Movement delta is playdate.system crank angle. Else if current dot contains left, movement delta is -4. Else if current dot contains right, oh yeah, we should probably do that too. Let current x position game data dot player position.x 0 like that. Then all we need to do is just change our code here to game data dot player move to movement dot translate from game data player position 0 with crank rotation movement delta bounds game data screen bounds. And then we can just boink, 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 and then we can just get rid of this code, I believe, and then if movement delta is less than or is greater than or equal to 0, then we move. And that should be a bit of a cleaner implementation to work with here. Okay, that's kind of bothering me. Why are you dark gray when we're using you right here? Do I need to say current buttons? Let's try that. Yeah, I think that helps. Okay, running the local build, running the local build. Yeah, this is it. And now to test that the crank version works. Yes. Nice. Okay, cool. So let's commit that then. We must go to merge. Is this... I don't know if I already have this pinned to start. No, it's not in my development. It should be, though. In which I forget how to do basic Windows things. Okay, I don't know why you keep asking me about that. Stop! Okay. Add D-pad support. Makes the game more accessible and easier to test in the simulator. Boom. Commit. Boom. Push. We did a thing. Okay, great. D-pad support is in, so we can go back to the tree here real quick, and we can say, boom, done. Should also mark this as in progress. I am running low on the coffee. It's a little early, but I guess we're doing a coffee break. So, be right back. Alrighty, we're coming back once this camera appears. That'd be nice. There we go. Okay, whew. Coffee takes a while to make. And also I had to deal with my nose. Again, allergies. They suck. Now let me just catch up on chat here real quick. See what's going on. Hey, Tom, what's up? What's up? Welcome. Just added some D-pad stuff. Besides that, chat's pretty empty. Alrighty. So we managed to get the D-pad stuff done. Yeah. Coffee. Now, D-pad, we did, yes. Unfortunately, the crank indicator stuff may be a little bit more tricky because even with the C version, we had to do some weird stuff, and we can't just directly call into the Lua API to get that to work. So that will probably have to be for another day. I think what we're going to have to do, for now anyway, is kind of address the big elephant in the room here. That being, we can't display the time remaining, or the boxes collected, because of the fact that we cannot display dynamic strings. And I don't think Embedded Swift supports that yet. I don't know. So we're either going to have to wait for that, or we're going to have to come up with our own solution for now. I have ideas, but I'm not very confident about them. Let me actually check the state of Embedded Swift first. Maybe they finally added it. I don't know. Swift Embedded. Resources. 1 edited, 2 edited. Oh, you know what? This I don't think is an official. Yeah, no, that's not the official one. Contributing to this repo blog post introducing this repository. Embedded, or documentation for Embedded Swift. Yes, Embedded Swift status. Let's see here. I'm gonna mute myself real quick so you're not having to hear me sniffle every 5 seconds. Yeah. Okay, now, so Embedded Swift still does not support dynamic strings, let alone string interpolations. And we can't just use the format string like we did in the C version, because we don't have support for variable arguments either. So that's great. Or not variable arguments, variadic arguments. Slight difference there. So that's not going to work either. So I guess we're just going to have to brainstorm. We're already in easel mode, right? Yeah. Yeah, you weren't able to see me, just kind of. So here's what we're going to do. Oh. Ha! OneNote opened in the streaming window, not this window. Whoops. That's fine. Okay. Here we are. I get to lay this flat now. Alright, so I'm just gonna do the thing. Shut up, Outlook. I don't like that. First off, this should be this color. Let's give ourselves a good Playdate screen here. Right? That's the screen. Right, here's our little player dude. Boxes, and then I'm just going to mark triangles as the palettes, just to make it easier for us to identify here. Right, now normally, the way that we had this work, I know the line's crooked, don't at me. The way that we had this work was we had a number here, and then we had a number over here. Now this would be indicated with like a box icon to indicate, you know, these are the number of boxes that you collected. And then meanwhile, this was your time remaining. So we would do a little clock. Now, I imagine for the clock, we could just get rid of the number entirely and just say, instead of this, we could either just have the clock, right? Like, it could be like a pie chart or something where we have this, and then, like, you just fill this part in. Or we could do an hourglass. Whoa. I gotta be careful when I do these things. Or we could do an hourglass and just do it that way. Now, I think it may be easier to just do the pie chart thing, if I'm honest. We still won't be able to do anything about the boxes, though. So this part is TBD. But I think, at least for the clock, we can just get started with that pie chart or hourglass. Now, the only thing is, we're going to need some sort of visual representation for it. And we're going to also need to divide it into segments, because I'm not going to sit there making 60 frames for this. And we need to make sure that this is dynamic enough for any length of time, because right now, the game currently only does for a minute. But if you look back to the original game, it could be 30 seconds, it could be 15 seconds, it could be 45 seconds, it could be any arbitrary number of time. Alright, so coding exactly for 60 seconds, or at least doing the artwork specifically for 60 seconds, is going to suck. So I don't want to do that. So I think rather we could just split it off into 8s and then just work that way. I think that would be much easier to work with. Yeah, okay, one second. I need to grab a tissue. Okay, we're back. Once the camera comes back on anyway. There we are. Again, allergies. Hate it. Yeah, so I guess this is going to be the first time that we're actually doing some artwork on stream. Because normally I'd prepare this ahead of time. But, because right now we're just trying to work around the limitation, we do not have that luxury. So, I guess let's scroll down here, because it's... No? Do I not have Sprite installed? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Son of a gun, I don't have Sprite on here. Well, that's not good. I think what I'm going to do in the meantime is let me just bring up that note again. I mean, like, people know what's in my Steam library. It's not that much of a surprise, but I'm just gonna do that while I sit here and install a tool that I could have sworn I installed. Yeah, it's installed, so why didn't it show up in the... Add desktop shortcut. Yes, please, do that. Okay. Meanwhile, while that's figuring out, let me take a quick look at chat over here. You develop on C. Having. We're actually doing Swift, but it's leveraging the C work. So we're combining C and Swift together, essentially, to get it to work. So we do lean in the C direction for a lot of stuff, but the language that it's actually written in is Swift. So, yeah. Fun stuff. Okay, let's cut that, and then I just go here to app data. Microsoft. Windows. Start menu, programs. And paste. Okay, now hopefully Sprite should show up in the menu. Thank you. That is so silly. Okay. So let's get out of OneNote. Tiny! The window is tiny! Oh my... Yeah, I kind of forgot that, multiple displays kind of acts very funny here. Do I need to do something? Where's the preferences on here? Preferences. Screen scaling. Confine the user interface to screen scaling 100? No. No, don't do that. 200. UI element scaling 200. Maybe. Okay, well, I can't explain why the title bar is so tiny, but this will do. I bet, though, if I were to drag this up here... Yeah, it's freaking huge. Okay, whatever. The point is not to deal with that. The point is to deal with you. Alright, so we want a transparent background. It's going to be grayscale, and... yeah, there we go. I don't need a preview. We only need 2 colors from this, so we're gonna be fine. Now, let's see if we can pop the keyboard off. See how good the touch support is on here. Oh, I meant to do the other color. Yeah, that works. Yep. Cool. So... Can I not see my layers? Why can I not see my layers? See, this is why I don't like doing the artwork on the stream, because it's not the programming stuff. And it's just me figuring out software. View. Timeline. Thank you. Okay. I don't know why that was hidden. That shouldn't have been hidden. New layer. Okay. That layer is going to be what controls... that will be what controls the actual fill. So let's just kind of... like this. Yeah, I know, I could just use the paint bucket, but the paint bucket, I think, assumes that the circle's on the same layer, and I have a surface pen here that I could just manually do this, so... There. Okay. First circle. So, how do we add a new frame? Do I just right-click in here and... New frame. Okay. Now, here's where things get tricky. Because I think... okay, you know what? For now... Can we just make this so it's a... Oops. Edit, undo. Does that look right? I guess. I guess it looks right. For now, we're just going to do the 4 frames, and then we'll figure out the 8s later, I think. Because otherwise, it's going to be a nightmare to try and figure out how this is supposed to work. There we go. Oop. Oh, because I'm using the circle tool. I've been trying this using circles. That's funny. Okay, so we created a new frame, and then we just gonna do the same thing. Now, I am no master artist or anything, but I think this simple programmer art should do the trick. And then we just create a new frame, and then... I'm sure the people that are normally here for the programming are like, what is this? Surprise! It's been an art stream all along. So, let me just make this tiny. Yeah, that works. I think that works. Cool. Great, so let's export the sprite sheet by rows, constraints, none. Yep, that looks good. Open sprite sheet. Oh, that's just the hover. Okay. Save as. And then this is where I pop the keyboard back on. And this is where we start digging into the tree here. No, not Playdate SDK. Package resolved. Source images. And this is clock table 1616.png. Now that's, we do that specific naming because that allows the Playdate to know, okay, it's a 16 by 16 table, and so we will treat it as an image table rather than just one giant image. Which is neat because it can handle sprite sheets like that. Though we did run into a bug the last time we did stuff with that, so we'll have to see how that goes. So that means we're going to have to add some more logic into our code to actually get this to render correctly. So we'll move away from the art, and we'll move straight into the Clockwork here. So first we're going to need to dig into our data, because we're going to need to add it to this list. Non-isolated, unsafe, because I'm not worried about concurrency yet. Static var clock table, playdate graphics, bitmap table, non-isolated, unsafe, static var clock frame, playdate graphics, bitmap. Right, so then we're gonna need to go into the setup. We load the player table, we load you. Here I think is where we'll start writing the time code. If game resource dot clock table is nil, we're going to do game resource dot clock table is a playdate graphics bitmap table with a path of images clock. Now, this is also a thing with the C API, but you don't specify clock table 1616 here. Playdate knows to just look for a table called clock, and it will handle the rest. So if that confused people, that might be why. Now, oh, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to say let clock table, and you'll see why I'm doing this in a moment. Game resource dot clock table is the clock table. Now we should be able to say game if game resource dot clock frame is nil, then we say game resource dot clock frame is clock, not block, clock table dot bitmap at 0. And that should do the trick. So that loads that in for us. Do we actually make any draw calls in here? I don't think we make any. Okay, well we do here, but I don't think we actually draw any boxes on the screen here. I mean, I guess we could, just to be safe. Playdate dot graphics draw bitmap. Yeah, we can do this. So if let clock frame equal game resource dot clock frame. Then we say Playdate. Well, actually, no, that doesn't make sense. We should probably do this inside of the loop itself. So we'll go back to the main. Player table, player update. Where do we update the time? Here we are. Yeah, you can see that I have the original C code for what we were doing, but that's not going to work now. So if let clock frame equal game data clock frame, then we're going to say, not game data, game resource. Okay? Playdate. Graphics. Draw bitmap. And we'll use our overload. Clock frame. Right, so we could do... I think we could just say... What is it? Game data dot screen bounds minus vector 2x 16 y 16. And then flip will be k, or not k, bitmap unflipped. We're just gonna like that. Okay, let's see whether we get a clock. If we get a clock, we win. If not, I don't know. Oh. Interesting. Dot system dot log. Okay, let me try that, because I want to see whether we're actually setting the frame first off. Okay, it claims it exists. But we do not have a clock. Oh. That's not good. Sigh. It's probably the same bug that I ran into when I was doing the box stuff. We may have to separate the clock frames out. Ugh. I don't like doing that. Let's check up with chat over here. Whoa, why is my camera blurry? Oh, there we go. Let's see. Ah, Rahul's joined us. You can malloc a C string in Swift and use sprintf or manually convert your int to characters in that C string, then pass that allocation to the Playdate C API to draw text. That might solve the boxes problem. I will have to do some research on how that's actually done. But I think we could leverage that information for the boxes collected, because that one we can't obviously just reduce down to a simple graphic. The time remaining, I think we can reduce down to a simple graphic, i.e. the clock, but Yeah, for the boxes collected, I think we would really need to display the number. And I think, yeah, that should be, yeah, that's an interesting point. I will have to try and play around with that myself to see if I can get anything to display that way. Though that does make sense, mallocing the string and then doing that. Comes to show that you always need your C. Now, I guess we're going to have to export these as PNGs, which I don't like. Resize layer, all frames. Can we just make this a series? Like this? Clock? Save, resize area canvas, frames, all frames, direction forward. Doesn't support layers. You can use a sprite format. Do you want to? Yes. Do you want to export the animation in 5 files? Yes. And I think that should be here, right? Source images, and we have clock 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Okay. Watch, I bet as soon as we change this, it is gonna magically appear. It's gonna be our neat little magic trick. Playdate.graphics bitmap path images clock 1. It's gonna be so stupid. It's gonna be like, oh, now it will show up. And it'll be like, well, why didn't you do that with the table? Okay, well, now you just straight up decide not to. Huh. Do you just not like the positioning? Maybe it's rendering off screen, and that's why it's doing that. That'd be funny. No, you're still just straight up gone. Why? We were doing so good before. Maybe I need to clean the project and then run it again. The bug has come back where I forget. I forgot to switch to main. My bad. Okay, no, you're still not here. Why do you not like this? Why do you not like this? If game resource clock frame is equal to 0, then you should be setting it. So why do you not display? You know what? Here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna set it there, because maybe it's a math problem. Also, I don't know why the thing went small again. It must have been when I reset the tasks. Okay, yeah, sure enough. The clock does work. It's just, I guess our math there was wrong. Okay. Well, how about we resurrect our clock table and try that? Okay, so I think we just wasted 3 minutes with this, so get out of here. We don't need those. Know where we're going. Okay. Now, let's see if we can actually get this to be positioned correctly. Because I'm guessing that it just didn't like the math that we were doing on this for some reason. Trying to think why that would be. I don't know. Game data screen bounds. Dot x minus 30. You know what? Let's do 48. Bounds y minus 48. It could be that my operator overloads for subtracting and adding vectors is just not working correctly. Which is weird considering the tests say that it's okay, but okay, yeah, no. You're fine. Okay, maybe it just needed a clean. Maybe it just needed a clean. Data screen bounds minus vector 2x 32y 32. Not 31. It's doing its thing. There we are. Huh. Okay. Did I mess up the precedence? That would be weird. I think WSL here is choking a little bit. Let me check back to chat here. Unsafe mutable buffer pointer dot allocate. Ah, okay. Just gonna just send a note to myself. Interesting. I don't know what's going on there. I'm gonna force this shutdown. I think it's just not cooperating. Thank you. Oh, you know what? I should probably save this somewhere. I'll just save it here for now. Clock. Sprite. Okay. There. Okay. Now we should be giving this a fair chance. I'm guessing maybe there was a memory leak somewhere or something. I don't know. It's weird. It is very weird. Okay. Let's try running a local build again. There we go. Okay, so my precedence is wrong. I need to note this down. That's embarrassing. But okay. Okay. So I guess from there we will need to flesh out some logic on actually showing the different phases of the clock, which we will need to do here. So I will mark that down as well. Get this to show different phases of the clock, not just the full clock. Okay. Well, it looks like we got quite a lot to figure out here. Lovely. So, I guess we need to edit the tree real quick. Yeah. So state management. I don't think we have a thing for UI, do we? No. Okay. I may need to move this over. Okay. Improved UI. And then we're just gonna, I don't know, link to a thing there. Yeah. Clock. And then boxes collected. Just to quickly update our tree here. String to show boxes collected. And then one more, because I had this as a work in progress on my iPad, but I never ported it over to my Surface, so that is something I will need to do for myself as well. Clock. Move it there. Whee! Do that. Show a clock in the corner. And then show different phases based on time remaining. That is our work in progress there. That we just did. Okay, great. So I guess while we're picking back up, next week we're going to get this part of the code working and then start digging into my bad, sorry. That was bothering me. Because I was a bit sloppy there. And then we'll probably dig into re-adding the boxes collected UI there, and then adding a little overlay that I wanted so that way it looks a bit better than everything just floating. Great, and then from there, we should be able to start doing some of the other major bits like the state management in terms of like title and loading screens and possibly loading in different levels. I don't know how well the Cuddle stuff is going to work with our current pipeline, but we can always fall back to the built-in JSON things that Playdate provides. So that's something. Alrighty. So that is where we're leaving it for today. I know we went 10 minutes over, but we had to delve into a little mystery as to why the clock wasn't showing up. So if you like watching this sort of thing as I bumble around with silly things and kind of do things ad hoc occasionally, feel free to hit that like button. Feel free to subscribe as well to get future notifications on when I do live streams. I I believe you can also hit the notification or notify me button on the latest live stream that I set up whenever I do set those up. I need to get back to setting those up a bit earlier for those folks that want to get notified. Yeah, you can hit the notification bell or whatever, but I don't want to delve too far into YouTube marketing, right? This is supposed to be one of those just chill stream things, right? So at least bare minimum for me, just like if you like and subscribe to get future notifications on when I stream. That's that. That said, yeah, take care, everyone.